What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. Once again, my name is Dave from Stances Everything, and today I was going to show all of you my progress on my bedside. And honestly, I'm going to be doing a little bit of that, but as you can see by me rolling around and not wearing my functional toque, we are actually going on a road trip today because I got a message from Jeff at Issyfab that he is ready for my hood. So what I have to do is grab that hood and put it in that truck and then drive about 2 hours to go see Jeff. Before that, let me show you a little bit about my bed. Where I last left off in my video, I had replaced both of my bedsides. So that was the original one, the first one that I did. I made a video about that. And then this is the one that gave me epic problems, and then I had to replace it. As you can see, I have started my filler work. So on this side, what I have down is fiberglass filler, and then rage gold on top, and then a glazing sort of finishing filler on top, really lightweight stuff. On this side, I'm actually done all of that except for here. I'm actually on to spot putty. I've put a little bit of primer on this, and I've kind of blocked it out a little bit. I do have to block it out a little bit more and obviously sort of knock all that down, but it is turning out pretty well. You can see from here it looks pretty straight. Coming down to here, it's pretty straight. As you can see on this other side though, this is just all fiberglass filler. I haven't even really started on this side. I figured I would sort of learn on the inside first, get it nice and dialed, and then go to the outside. That's actually backwards because the inside is going to be more important, but whatever. So this looks pretty solid. I have knocked down a lot of the fiberglass filler on this side. You can see down there I've got some rage gold to deal with. I'm going to get this all nice and sorted out, never you mind, and it is going to look pretty good at the end. And you know, this bed is almost ready to sort of figure out how I'm going to patina it. But I did realize the other day that it's actually rotted out here too. I didn't really realize that underneath all this dirt and stuff. So once I'm done sort of these sides, getting them to a point where they look good, they can hold the fenders, but they don't look too good because obviously, you know, there's a couple of dents here, a ding there. This is all bent. This is going to be a little bit rough. I don't want it to look too good, but I definitely don't want it to look like I put a bedside in this. Balancing patina is a little bit tricky, so hopefully I can figure that out. That is going to have to wait until another video because I do have to get this all loaded up today. I do have a day off today, but my friend Blair, who lent me that truck, I need to get it back before he is done work, so we need to bomb over to Issyfab right now. I'm going to put the hood and a couple of other things into that truck, and then the next time I'm on cut, we'll be at Issyfab. Alright, so it's 2 hours later and we're at Issyfab, and I got to start this video out by showing his truck. Not done yet, but super rad. Maybe we'll get him to start it later. Obviously, we are no longer in Jeff's garage, and you probably didn't expect that cut to go from me showing Jeff's awesome dually to back here. But what ended up happening was I had to really just go to Jeff's place, turn around, and come back to return Blair his truck before Blair Tailored Customs. I had to return him his truck before he was finished work for the day, so I really just had to go there, hung out with Jeff for probably an hour. We caught up on a bunch of stuff about the truck and what's going to happen to it before it comes back. And I shot a little bit of video, which I'm going to cut to now, and I'm going to keep talking. So in Jeff's shop right now, he's really busy. He's got a little bit later AD truck like mine, the blue one that you might see in the background of a couple photos. He has a Camaro in for a twin turbo Nelson mirrored turbo sort of LS setup. He's got a Grand National in there right now for an LS single turbo setup. He's kind of in the middle of moving shops as well. He recently moved shops from the last time I went to see him. So he's got tools everywhere. Some areas of the shop are just working off extension cord right now. Jeff is a super busy guy, and we kind of hatched a plan to get my truck back into my garage so that he can get some bay space and I can keep plugging away in the winter. So that is what we are going to be doing over the winter. I'm going to get the truck back, and I am going to be continuing to work away on it. And one of the things I'm going to work away on is getting this bed sorted out so that I can mock it up on the truck and make sure that, you know, if I want to run inner tubs, I can figure out all that. Before I get to what is going to be a lot of sanding, I am going to show you a quick clip of the truck actually starting and running. This video of the truck running is very brief. It does not have a tune in it in this. This was pretty much the first start, so that's why there's stuff all over the floor. Jeff's been plugging away, cleaning things up. I might add a couple more photos of sort of the work that he's done since this video, but it is pretty cool to hear this truck start for the first time. So enough talking, let's cut to that. So now that you've heard it live for the very first time, I'm just going to remind you all quickly what it is. It is a 4.8 LS that I bought from a drifter who gave up his LS swap. I did not hear it run, so it is very good to hear it run there. It has 799 heads, some valve springs in it, you know, a few things to just really make it a little bit better. I'm looking forward to hearing that truck run for a little bit longer and idle for some time. It's going to be really cool. But in the meantime, I've got a lot of work left here and here. So I am going to put this camera on the tripod, and actually today what we're going to do is I'm going to take this to a point where I can prime it, and then I am going to flip over and get this spot to that point, which is really sanding down the rage gold and then putting on some glazing primer. And then we're probably going to call this video, because really you have seen me sand before a lot. If you don't remember that, click the link here to see the video where I prepared that fender for the next stage of the project. So really, I'm not going to bore you too much with sanding, but let's get this at least into primer completely before this video ends, so it has a little bit of truck updates and a little bit of bed updates all in one video. Okay, so to quickly run you through the method to my madness when I'm doing the sanding, what I use is my random orbital sander hooked up to a shop vac to reduce the amount of dust in the garage. If you haven't done that, definitely do it. It helps. There's still a lot of dust in my garage, but it definitely does a good job of sort of helping things. So I hit down the initial coat of filler with probably about 60 grit on this, and then I work my way up to like 80, 100, 110, about 220 all through this, and then I do a 220 by hand and a 320 by hand, and then I spray it with some sandable primer. And then what I'm going to do after that, which isn't going to be in this video, but it'll probably be in the next one, is I'll go over with a guide coat, and then from there it's a lot of hand blocking and sanding. Again, this is a patina bed. There's dents everywhere, but my main goal, and I've said this 1,000 times, is that I don't want people to know that I have gone in and fixed anything. So if it looks like it could have happened by throwing something in the bed, that is what I want. But I don't want you to see like pits in the Bondo, chunks, things like that. I want to get it as good as I can, considering the entire project and how much time that I have, and that I'm doing it here in the garage. So I'm going to load this up with some 60, mash that down really quick, and then work my way up, and then hopefully we'll be in primer in not too long. Okay, so I've switched the camera angle up to just reduce a little bit of the monotony, and I got to do a little bit of work here. So I've hit this down with 60, and I'm at the 100 stage, 60 and then 80. I'm at the 100 stage right now, kind of smoothing it out. And I noticed that there was some pinholes in my glazing, there's some pinholes in my lightest weight filler here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this glazing spot putty. This is the Motomaster brand. It's pretty much the same as the Bondo brand. It is not the greatest stuff, but for these tiny pinholes, it really does work pretty well. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see these on camera. You can use sort of a tool to sort of spread this in here, but I find using my finger works out pretty well because I can really just press in to where I need it to go. So I'm just going to do fill in a couple of these pinholes, because I can knock this down with 100 and it's not going to set me back too much, and we're still going to be able to get this in primer by the end of this video. Okay, so trust me, I know this finger painting method does look rather ridiculous, but I'm just trying to push it into these tiny little pinholes, And once I go through sanding this, you're just going to see tiny little red dots. You're not even going to see all of this mess right here, and it's all going to work out pretty well. While this is drying, I'm going to go over and knock down some of the other side. I'm not going to time lapse that because it's going to be very much what you've already seen. So the next time I'll be back, we'll be knocking this all down. It takes about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes to dry. I like to leave it longer than it says, because if you get into this one, it's still gummy. It's just a real mess, and it clogs up sandpaper and just ruins equipment. Okay, so as you can see, it is very dusty in here. I don't even want to know how much filler dust I've got on my person and is in the area. I put my mask on. I've been using the shop vac, but it still does get pretty dusty in here. But I've managed to knock down a lot of, let me turn this light for a second. See, I've knocked down all of that spot filler that there was, and you can see in most spots, it just goes down to like little red dots, couple smudges here and there where a little bit more spot putty was needed. But this will all now fill in pretty well with the filler primer. But I am not at that stage yet. I've just knocked it down with 180, I think. So I think I'm going to go to 220 next, and then probably 320 before we get to primer. Now that is super, super boring. So I'm going to start knocking it down. You're going to see a quick speed into that, and then we are going to cut to putting some primer on it. And then after the primer, I will show you what it looks like, and then we will do an outro, and then in the next video we'll just keep doing more of the same. But I might try and switch up the next video. We might go back to Freezer Top Customs, which for those of you who haven't watched any of those videos, just want to mess with RC cars just to get away from sanding for a little bit, because it is pretty boring. But that's the stage I'm at right now without having the actual truck to work on. It's just a ton of body work. Anyway, I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to hit the time lapse, and hopefully the next time I'm chatting with you, I'm showing you this all in primer again for the second time, and then saying see you later. Alright, so let's get back to work. Alright everyone, good news, bad news. Good news is I have got this in primer. You can also see that I've added a guide coat. Is that a little bit overkill for something patina? Totally, considering that this is smooth and then that's all rough and that's even rougher. I actually do have, if you move that, I've got some rust to fix here and some dirt to get out and more rust there. Anyway, we'll get there. So this is all in primer now and guide coated so that I can sand it down and get it looking a little bit better than it does. But honestly, it looks pretty good. There's a little bit of here's and there's, but generally this area in here where I was really worried about how it looked and transitioned turned out pretty well. This area up here where I did some patchwork, I'm probably going to put a guide coat on there and sort of even out. You can see some areas where the filler absorbed the primer. Primer goes onto filler a little bit differently than it does everywhere else. So I'm going to put some more guide coat on there, sand this all down, and then hit this with primer. As to what primer I am using, I bought a case of this Power Fist primer from someone off Kijiji, which is the Canadian version of like Craigslist for you guys who might not know, for 35 bucks. This is what I'm using right now to kind of do this area in here and get things pretty reasonable. And then once I am ready, I'm going to step up to this stuff, which is gray high build primer. This was $35 for this one can. So I'm going to save this, and I'm actually only going to use it on the inside of the bed, because that's where your eye is going to see if there are a lot of imperfections in relation to filler. So once I get this in a good spot, I have a little bit of couple touch-up spots and then a lot to do sort of in here. I want to blend this in. You can see that I primed it and then sanded it back. Once I get this all sorted out, guide coat it, sand it down, and then hit it with that primer. Obviously this video has taken me much longer. Like every other video, story of my life with this video stuff. I start with the best of intentions, get working, and then next thing you know, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks go by. I drop my GoPro, I scratch the lens a little bit. I'm hoping that doesn't turn up on film. Anyway, that is going to be a wrap for this part of the video. The next video is probably going to be some RC stuff, and then I'm going to come back to more stuff with my truck just to kind of get things going. And hopefully I will have the truck back by then, and I will have to move this bed sort of over there to be able to fit bed here and truck here. But until then, I have a lot more things on that list to crank away at. So thanks for watching this video. We'll catch you in the next one. If this is your first video of mine, give me a like, share, subscribe, all that stuff everybody tells you to do at the end of all of their videos, because everybody's out here trying to get more subscribers, more followers. But really, I'm just trying to crank away on this truck and hopefully inspire someone else to get out in the garage and work on theirs. So thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next one.